There are so many theories on what it takes to be a leader and how one should approach leadership. But a few hundred years ago, Plutarch had some thoughts on the matter that are still relevant today. Maybe more so. Some believe that a good leader is someone with loads of followers and whose words are heeded. But this isn't always true. Some leaders, when forced to make hard decisions, end up facing the ire of their people. However, there are many others who, despite being young and inexperienced, earn their place by sheer virtue of their character. Their actions make them leaders, so much so that the very term a young leader loses meaning. In Roman times, political power came down to a few key positions in each municipality. Most of the decisions were made at the local level, so it was important to elect capable individuals to these offices. If you wanted a well-run city, this was your responsibility as a citizen. Only a leader who values their country and cares about the good of the people inside it should be elected to positions of power. Leaders must understand that they are not only representing their own interests, but also the desires of the entire community. If they are unable to do this, they should step down from office. The decision to lead should never be taken lightly. People are far more willing to criticize than they are to laud. A spotlight is an unforgiving place for anyone, and those who hold leadership positions are always scrutinized. It's easy to spot leaders' shortcomings. It's harder to recognize their achievements. A leader's job is to set the tone of their organization and avoid scandal and criticism, however difficult that may be. Pericles chose this path for himself, and his stature has only grown over time. Pericles chose a different path. He chose to avoid criticism at all costs. He never made any decisions too quickly or rashly, and his performance as an orator was always understated and graceful. Philosopher Plutarch said that for leaders to lead, they must first become leaders of themselves and follow their own reason. If you can make the right decisions for yourself, then you can make decisions for those you lead. Practicing reason is the difference between a king who is won over by its power and one who is completely unaffected by it. Theopompus and Aristodemus are kings, but they ruled in two different ways. Theopompus was a king who embraced the power of reason. He used it to regulate his affairs, including his relationships with the gods, and respected those who did likewise. If you are leading, then you are speaking, and you better do it well. Pericles is a prime example of the importance of the spoken word. Pericles, the Athenian statesman who had a knack for making his arguments perfectly. He put all of his talent into becoming an excellent speaker in front of crowds of hundreds and even thousands. His popularity and influence grew to unprecedented heights, allowing him to shape Athenian politics, culture, and the war with Sparta. His speeches were so beautiful and eloquent that, even when he had to communicate bad news to the Athenian people, they still adored him. His most famous speech was given following the first major victory of the Peloponnesian War, where he predicted that, if Athens and her rivals continued fighting, both would be destroyed. But, if Athens chose to stay neutral in the conflict, she could enjoy peace and prosperity for years to come. Older leaders can grace society with their gathered wisdom. Often they are satisfied with their station in life and are not after fame, glory, or power, as younger leaders tend to have ambition towards. Plutarch argued that the maturity of older people was a source of strength. Just as a king's crown expresses his authority, people with gray hair are distinguished by their experience and wisdom. In Plutarch's view, the greatest strength of older people was their maturity. Just as a king's crown expressed his authority, so gray hair signaled that you were ready to be a leader. Plutarch believed that people who were constantly in search of engagement were better leaders. Some people look to retirement with glee and anticipation, but it's those that never find peace with a lack of purpose that are meant to lead. Leading, growing, constantly making an impact on the world around you are qualities of a good leader.